All right, homosexuals, dive in with me. Here's the update. There's a lot of changes, but they're actually not that different, you know? It's kind of just rewrapping my priorities around the efforts I can actually put into the gym that won't lead to me getting injured, you know? And allowing me to also bounce back without being overly fatigued all the time, right? Right. So, it's going to seem a little bit counterintuitive because I got to explain it. There's a purpose behind this. So, the issue with the previous program, because I got into it for sure, but I didn't really get to fully analyze it because I didn't really understand it fully myself yet. But it was just one of those things where back and forth for the past 2.5 months, even though I've been physically peaked, making great progress, you know, everything's been going the way I've been hoping for it to go, does not mean it's been going as well as it needs to be with what my body's currently capable of doing, you know? And the reason I say that is because, like, I easily pulled, I think 5 muscles in the time that I've been doing this program, the previous program for the past, 2 months, which is so many pulls. Even if they're completely minor, recovered immediately, were not big deals, they still matter, you know? They still stack up and put my body in a strenuous position where I am at a much, much higher risk of injury than I would have been in the first place if I had trained a little bit smarter, you know? And sometimes the smartest thing you can do is to take a step back and dumb it down a little bit, you know? Make it a little bit less complex so that you can give it the same intensity, sure, but not overdo it to the point where you can't lift anymore, you know? It's positively coming back with more and more every time, but again, fully adhering to what your body is going to tell you what it wants. Because I promise you, if you listen closely, your body's going to tell you exactly what it needs when it needs it. You know, your body doesn't like being injured, and it surely does not like being put under stress. So when you're putting it through this back and forth cycle of, okay, well, I'm doing well, and you'll have one of those weeks where you're doing great, you're peaking, you're not injured, and then the next week you have a minor pull, got to take a couple of days off, got to reset, rebuild, but then you're back peaked again. That's an inefficient cycle. You know, I like being able to progressively build consistently without getting injured the entire time, so that I can build up that consistency and experience without needing to expect that negative side effects, you know? So anyway, what I want to really focus on is more so the idea of reducing the overall volume and increasing the weight very slightly, not for the sake of the weight itself, you know, because I'm always telling you guys, the purpose behind my lifts is not to pick up a heavier weight. It is to enjoy myself and make progress that is relative to me, you know? I'm simply just trying to make it to where I can comfortably and confidently lift heavy weights in general. And then if the bigger numbers come along the way, that's an accessory to my efforts, you know? That's not the main passion behind it. But anyway, what I'm going to try doing for right now is, rather than before, I was doing 3 sets on everything with the goal of that last set being that highest effort. If I only hit 2 sets, I keep the weight where it is. If I hit all 3, I up the weight a little bit. That's great. The issue is not that it doesn't work. It's actually probably some of the best programming I've had in a while that works really well with the current body I have. But I started that program before I was doing 12-hour night shifts at the hospital. That is a big issue. And it's not the fact that I'm not motivated enough to go. I was certainly keeping myself consistent and disciplined, but the issue comes when you force yourself to stay up all night long, when your body is consistently trying to make you rest so that you don't feel awful and fatigued, and then you have to go to sleep at a time that your body doesn't want to go to sleep at, which makes it even more uncomfortable. And it eventually just leads to you being really, really tired before you even get to try to do your heaviest stuff in the gym that you could have been physically completely peaked for. Even if your mental's there, if your body can't do it, there's no point in trying. You know, you got to be physically apt to at least attempt it, you know? So, I'm going to continue working up to 1 top set on each exercise from now on. Just for the temporary, just to see what happens, for the most part. Today makes me very confident in what can happen, because originally, before my knee exploded, if you've been here long enough, My left quad tendon tore a little bit. It's been over 6 months, I believe, and I've been fully recovered. It's great. I feel good. Never really worried about it anymore, and I did the PT very well. But the reason it got to that point was because I was doing a similar program that I'm trying right now, where I'd work up to a one top confidently heavy set every day, but I wouldn't increase the weight in a linear, more slow but efficient rate, you know? Because even though I was physically peaked to lift heavier weights, doesn't mean that my more sensitive parts, like my tendons, my joints, and my bones were ready for that weight, you know? And you can't really know if they're ready or not until you get to that point of getting injured. You know, it's very unfortunate, but that's just how the cycle kind of works sometimes. And that was the best learning experience I could have had. You know, that experience really got me to go the distance. But anyway, the whole idea is, so right now, before I was doing like 3 weeks of high volume, 2 weeks of mid volume, and then 1 week of heavy stuff with very low volume. Now I'm going to do, like, for example, this week is since I'm restarting, it's going to be triples on Olympic lifts, sets of 6 on power lifts. But instead of doing 3 weeks of that, next week I'll jump straight to the sets of 2 and the sets of 4. And then I'll do the next week after that, sets of 2 on Olympic, or on power, and then singles on Olympic. This is not so I can continuously jump weight very quickly. It is so that I can make the weight added on a little bit slowly. It's hard to wrap my brain around it. I'm trying to slowly and efficiently pack on the weight without overdoing it according to what my tendons, joints, and bones can handle. You know, I'm getting to a point where I'm training more my tendons than I am my main muscle groups, because those are my limiting factors. So, oh man, this is such a jumbled mess. I'm sorry for just bouncing back and forth. But anyway, I hit my snatches today. It felt great. I really didn't have high hopes. I just wanted to put the weight on that I did last week, since I was doing sets of it for doubles. So I did 1 triple at 245, destroyed it. It was great. No misses. First time doing a triple at that weight. That's amazing. And the positive from that is that there's less fatigue. Of course, there's that little bit of increased risk of overall injury because it's heavier, but the weights are always going to have that risk. You know, especially with Olympic lifting, it's always going to be difficult. It's always going to be a little bit higher potential for an injury that I could have avoided if I just didn't do the sport in general. But that's not why we do it. I'm passionate about this shit, so I gotta do it, you know? So what I really want to work on is honing in that top set, do something comfortable and confident for this cycle, so that when I get through these next 3 weeks, I can then add weight confidently without having to worry about it. So for example, I hit the I hit the 1 top set at 245 for a triple, did no misses, hit it right away. And again, if I have a miss or two, but I bring it back and I still hit all 3, I'll count that, just because it's normally more of a technical issue than a strength issue. If I'm catching the barbell in front of me, that means I'm not strong enough. That's fine. But if I'm throwing it behind my head, that just means I need to lock in the technique and my form, you know? So because I hit it this week and hit exactly what I wanted to, I'm already merited a 10-pound increase on my weights next week when I do the double, because it's decreasing volume. You know, it doesn't make sense to do 245 again for a double, because, you know, that's just not how the percentages work. But because I also hit the weight that I was attempting, I'm going to add 20 pounds to attempt what might be possible on the double, because I'm physically peaked at the moment. You know, this is the time to try things and see if they work, but not expect them to go exactly how I want them to, you know, just do my best. So next week, I'll do a double at 265. If I hit it, then I'll add 20 again for that last final single and go for 285 for that last week before I reset. For example, if I do not hit the 265 next week, then I'll just go to 275, because it's close enough to where the 265, I at least have a single. And so if I don't hit the double, I only merit the 10-pound increase instead of 20, so that I don't overdo it and I don't fuck my body up, you know? And the biggest thing is that when I reset this program, I'm not going to make the same mistake I made last time, where I just work up to what I'm confident on that certain day. You know, I'm not just going to work up to a weight that I feel like working up to. Whatever I started with, so right now I started with 245. when I restart the cycle next time, I will start at 255 no matter what. No matter how peaked I feel, even if I feel like I can do 265 for a triple, I'm only going to allow a 10-pound increase for the overall program when I restart the cycles. I don't want this to be something based off of a max out I have on one particular day when I feel extra good for a million reasons. Whenever you can't really control when you're going to be fully peaked, you can only give yourself the highest potential to get there. And so I'm only going to allow myself to increase that 10 pounds so that I can hit those weights confidently again and again and again and again, because the growth is still going to be exponential. And you have to realize that when you're fully long-term committed to this, like at the bare minimum, if I'm going to do this till I'm 30, I have 9 more years left minimum. And if I'm going to be adding weight even at this rate with the 10 pounds every cycle, just attempting, by the way, I don't expect it to go that way. I'm going to be clean and jerking like 700 pounds by the time I'm 25. It doesn't make sense. That's not going to happen. It just, evolutionarily, I'm not that guy. Just being real. If Lasha can't do it yet, I'm not going to be the guy who fucking does it, especially at the weight that I'm at. It's going to be that thing where I just try to go through the cycle as best I can, and if I get to that top single at the end and I can't hit it, I just won't increase the weight, and I'll work back up to that same weight or have a different kind of jump. Because again, like if I fail the 265 and then go to 275 that last week, even if I fail the 275 and restart, I can still go from 245 to 265, make the 265, and then go to 285. I know it's very complicated in a weird sense because I'm just going really hard on it, but this is a lot simpler for me because it allows me to just put in my maximum effort without fully burdening my schedule, how much time I'm putting in, and how much fatigue builds up over time while I'm doing these strenuous workouts. Because pushing 3 sets on every single exercise, every single day of every week, just has been too much. It's been a lot. Otherwise, the overhead squat felt good. I was very happy with it. I will say when you get to it, the 275 for 6, that's great. I'm very confident that I hit that. That's wonderful. I put in a lot more effort than I needed to because on the second rep, my core did not brace. I did not brace it the way I should have. And when you do that, your body's going to try to crumble immediately. So you either break and you drop the bar, or you immediately try to pick it back up. And you have to spend that next 10-second interval repositioning your core balance. And it was trying to lean forward a lot. And so I literally just had to hold it until I balanced again and then continued. And that made it much harder than it needed to be. But I still hit it. And I'm very proud of that effort regardless. Snatch pulls, this is why I'm happy for the lesser volume, because I'm still adding weight exponentially. And sure, I could do more weight than I did today. I got the 3,675 for a triple. That's great. And I could have done more, sure. But the idea right now is not to pack on as much as I physically can right now. It's to build it up so that I can progress exponentially in the long term, And if I go way too heavy, my CNS is going to be too burnt out to pick it up anyway, even if I hadn't done the initial exercises before that. And so I have to remember that these other lifts than the snatch, clean and jerk, bench, and squat are accessory lifts. It's okay if they're not that heavy compared to what I can do at an all-time peak. They're for my technique, my form, and my core, not just overall strength by itself. So I need to make sure I temper myself so that I don't get injured along the way while doing several exercises a day. I know that's a lot. I know it's a whole lot of back and forth, but it's hard to explain without just fully just going into it, This is just the mindset you got to have sometimes to figure something new out. I was talking to a homie today, and he was talking about how he was not feeling great. He was just kind of tired, was feeling a little tweaked consistently like I was. And it's the consensus that no matter what happens, you're always going to hit a plateau at some point. That's when, but the deepest and lowest plateaus, when you can't move anything at all, it normally means you've got some great potential on the horizon. You just have to keep trying new shit to see what works for your current body. That's why I was telling them, it's like, I change my program all the time. Not because I don't trust my programs or I don't feel like I can do them, but because I can recognize right when my body can't do something efficiently anymore and it needs to change so that I can grow without getting injured, like I just did this week. Hey, so physically, shit. I mean, I gotta give it at least a 9 point. I'll give it a 9.3. It feels really good. It honestly could have been better, which is great news because I just don't think I locked it in as hard as I originally wanted to. I came in with low expectations, as I normally try to do, but I wasn't as hyped up because it's a new program. I normally start pretty, I don't get as much progress right away. And so it's really, really, really nice to see that progression is still there. I just have to continue pushing it. I was tired, and it's been a lot of back and forth with my schedule either way, but the less fatigue that I have now is so, so helpful. So I'm going to continue pushing it the way that I feel best. It might not work after today, who knows, but I'm not going to think about that. Failure is never an option until failure actually happens, So I'm never going to think about it. I'm just going to do my best, listen to my body, stay away from the injuries, and just live life, not worry too much about it. Mentally, I'll give it a 9.35. That it's really just barely over. I'm not like crazy hyped up or anything. I'm doing great. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy with what I'm doing, and it's nice to honestly have that little bit of relaxation. But that relaxation is exactly the reason why I didn't feel as hyped up today. I'm used to pushing harder when it comes to the overall energy exerted. But now with all these shifts and the other things on my daily schedule, I have to adhere to that and accept that I will grow better and more confidently and comfortably with less overall effort every single day. It's that little bit of extra rest that I get that will go so much further than if I pushed it harder than I really need to in the first place. It's becoming a thing where I'm utilizing original mistakes and turning them into newfound ways to grow, Man, it's a nice feeling. I'm much more low-key about it right now than I think I feel overall. I'm in an unknown zone. I gotta really take my time and allow it to fester and grow at its own rate and just see what happens, because it might not work the way I want it to. But I have high hopes, and I'm very happy with the progress, and it's already looking incredibly based off today alone, and especially with how the clean and jerks were moving the other day. I'm excited, to say the very least. I'm fucking excited. So that's kind of all I got. I don't want to keep going back and forth just trying to come up with some random bullshit to talk about, because I'm really just running into a wall at this point. I don't want to lie to you. It's one of those things where I just kind of got to let go of the steering wheel for a minute and just let whatever's going to happen. I'm going to keep putting in 100% effort and 100% of whatever my experiences have been up to this point, but you can't really overcomplicate it like that. You just gotta let go of control a little bit and just allow your body to grow at the rate that it might be able to or might not. And if it doesn't, we adhere and we grow and we move past that. And if it does great, we'll keep moving. And that's about it. There's nothing else to really think about. All you gotta do is pick up that barbell, have as much fun as you can, and just fucking throw it. Just have fun at the minimum. Hey. All right, well, I'll be back tomorrow then. I have power clean and jerk and back squat, so we'll see how that goes. I'll always keep you guys updated about whatever's going on, and just keep doing your best. Let me know how y'all's lifts and lives been going. Love hearing about it. Again, sorry if it's been a bit of a jumbled conversation today, but that's just how it's got to be sometimes. You got to be able to spew what's in your brain to get to that inner layer of like, okay, now I can put today's scrambled words into a better hope for what I want to do tomorrow. That's all it is. So I love you guys. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll see you later. Bye.